Over a dozen appointments and nominations for President elect Donald Trump's new administration. There's both celebration and controversy. Can the coalition remain unified? Here's the point. It has been just over a week since the 2024 presidential election that was decided in a landslide victory of the popular vote and the Electoral College with a Republican-controlled trifecta that includes the White House, Senate, and House of Representatives. President-elect Trump has already made over a dozen special appointments and nominations for his new cabinet and various agencies, ranging from the EPA to the CIA. These appointments and nominations should help provide the truth, transparency, and public accountability that the American people have been desperately asking for and that are long overdue. Do not expect the red carpet welcome in Washington, D.C., or from any of the left that has the controlling interest of these institutions. They will not sit this one out quietly. The mostly peaceful protest might soon resume as soon as 2025 rolls around. Even Nixon's landslide election in 1972 was met with deep state resistance, and his second term was embroiled in scandal. But first to the celebration. It is clear with many of these appointments, like Susie Wiles, Elon Musk, and Tulsi Gabbard, that the new Trump administration will be built on loyalty, efficiency, and bipartisanship as it reflects a new coalition. Remember, 75 million Americans overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump, from the Rust Belt to the Bible Belt to the Sun Belt. Major career-ending and reputational gambles were placed on the most unlikely political resurrections in American history. These appointments reflect the recognition and loyalty of those who stood the most to lose through their endorsement, with Musk at the top of that list. And those who lived under the shadow of government harassment, like parents in Loudoun County who were compared to domestic terrorists for showing up to school board meetings, or pro-life advocates who were arrested for standing on a sidewalk, or those service members who lost their job for refusing the COVID jab, or those fortunate enough to be placed on a TSA watch list for criticizing the Biden administration. They all are celebrating this presidential victory and looking with eagerness to see just what kind of oversight and accountability the deep state will receive. For those who like apples, how do you like them apples? There are many who are still celebrating this victory because they do understand just how evil and destructive the woke trans movement was on our children, the open border policies that were on crime and lawlessness, and how arrogant and tone deaf the Biden administration was to the average American who cared more about the price of eggs and gasoline than their enthusiasm for unmitigated abortion access. Yes, there are 75 million Americans who are happy to see a return to common sense, but this broader coalition is not made of deeply committed social or religious conservatives. This is a new, broader coalition of those cohorts who are politically homeless since Democrats went hard after the interest of the alphabet mafia. And not all of these Trump appointments are being celebrated either. The new Republican majority in the Senate will have a lot to say about who makes it across the nominating finish line. While Trump won the popular vote and the Electoral College, there are those members of the Republican Senate and even in the House who are prepared to challenge these nominations, whether in the perceived interest of the American people or in their own shared political self-interest. Either way, prepare for a fight. So can this coalition and victory hold? Here's the point. As Christians, we cannot be blind to the political realities that give rise to popular coalitions, nor blindsided by the impermanence of those alliances as soon as the dust settles on victory. These things tend to break apart naturally. There were many who voted for Trump out of a deep concern for the issues that mattered most in this election. Others who voted casually on style points, and even others who voted on political indigestion and heartburn. Those symptoms are only temporary, and when the pain subsides, it is soon forgotten. In other words, Principles might have guided many of us to vote, but it is not guiding everyone. Based on polling, most Americans voted for common sense over leftist ideology. Now, it remains to be seen whether they will accept decisions alternatively based on conservative ideology. I wouldn't hold my breath. If you have to wonder what most Americans think about true conservatism, look no further than the pro-life movement that is currently losing its fight, but will not and should not quit. I say currently losing because it is only a matter of time before hearts and minds are won on the issue. Progeny literally determines the winner, and pro-lifers will always win that argument. Even if the voting populace holds, there are still those careerist remnants of the Republican Party that have never fully aligned with President Trump, not in the first term and not likely in the second term. There will be the usual cautious hesitancy to support things that are obvious to most Americans. There will also be the outright resistance when it goes against the controlling interest of the Beltway Uniparty. This is because, like all careerists, they know presidents come and go, and they believe in the permanence of the Washington cabal above all else. That's where their supper comes from. That's where their loyalty lies. But this, too, is a vain hope for victory. Christians must always recognize their first allegiance and their first love is to Jesus Christ and to that eternal kingdom that is imperishable and undefiled. That kingdom is not only to come, that kingdom is already here. The permanent things must win, the permanent things will win, and the permanent things have already been established. Yes, political coalitions and popular elections come and go. They are not permanent, but they are by no means trivial. We must be diligent and faithful now to do what our Master has instructed, occupying until he returns. And that includes being engaged in this political struggle in these times for the sake of the gospel and the kingdom of Christ.